While Nick is living in the past, trying to relive the glory of F-Zero, I'm out here in the future, okay? I'm trying to be like my hero, the main guy from Ready Player One. And so I've been playing VR games. Now, I've actually been playing a decent amount of VR over the last year because as soon as PlayStation 2 VR dropped, I had to pick up the first PlayStation VR. I mean, it had to happen. Mm-hmm. So I picked up, along with the VR headset, a few other games along the way. And oddly enough, I have like 15 or plus hours in box VR because I use that for like working out, and it's just a fun game to kind of get myself moving. And recently I was like, I have not experienced a true cinematic story in VR, And so I decided to pick up Blood and Truth, which came out a while ago. It's from London Studio, and it's a PlayStation VR exclusive VR game. And
R.I.P. London.
Yes, rest in peace. There's going to be another studio we're going to talk about that today. But before we get there, so I'm about, 4 hours into this, and I think based on what I've seen, I have like a few missions left. So, and as you'll see from my thoughts, the story is not what matters here. This is one of the look, I'm just going to say right off the bat, one of the best VR experiences I've ever had. It is fucking sick. In terms of like when, granted, I'm playing this, again, it's PlayStation VR, so it's, Gen 1 stuff. And also, I'm using my like spare PS4 for this. I play on the PS5 and Xbox Series X now, so I didn't have anything to do with my PS4, and so it's all hooked up to the nest of web or wires that has to be for the PSVR setup. But that's how I've been playing it on the PS4. I believe if you play on the PS5, there's increased resolution, but even without that, I'm just playing it as is, and it is. Oh man, it's so cool. First of all, I think this whole game, this whole experience, was really designed around VR. Like in terms of obviously it's a VR game. I mean, it was designed as like almost like a tech demo, like a fancy tech demo. I strongly believe that because there's so many different things you do in the game. But to set the stage, all right, the story, because that's what you guys are all here for. The story is about this guy. His name's Ryan. All right. He used to be in the army, but then he was called back home for some stuff, and some people died, and now he's got to do stuff. I'm being vague because it's not look. I actually do know some. I am following the story to somewhat of a cohesive degree. It's just that the story is so basic that you could guess story beats, and those story beats would happen. Like it's very by the books. The writing is also very by the books. Though to be fair, the acting is like really good too. Like the writing might not give them a lot to work with, but the actors are good enough to kind of elevate it to their own.
Is it camp or is it serious?
It's serious. It tries to be serious. Again, there are some jokes, like I have to imagine jokes, because there's one point in you
that's like, a good sign if you don't know.
Well, there's a one point where damn Nick, I can't believe I'm admitting this on stream. All right, so there's a part of the start of the game where you're in a car with someone, your brother, and you just came back from the army or whatever. He's like, "Yo, dude, let's go." First of all, it's also in it's in UK, so yeah, bro, let's go. They're doing that stuff. Mm-hmm. And you're sitting in the car next to him. You're kind of like talking as he drives, and he's like, "Dude," and he hands you a vape, and you pick up the vape, and I was like, "Well, I have to," and I put obviously I have the headset on, and I put it up, and Nick, the fucking ball at the end of the VR headset touched my lips, and I was like, well, I have to do it now. So I was like, and I took a hit, and then I took such a real hit that I started coughing, and then smoke comes out of my character's mouth in the game. I'm like, this is immersion I've never experienced in a game before. It was incredible. But also there are some stuff in the game, not vaping included, which by the way, vapes are one of the hidden collectibles in the game. You can go like,
Oh my
there was a time, there's one mission where I was like sneaking, I was like sneaking through this area, and I was trying to do something. I was trying to grab something on the table, I think, and I was like, oh shit, I can grab this handle of this drawer in front of me, and so I pull the drawer, and there's a vape inside. But no, so okay. To really say it though, this is super like immersive, not just because it's like, a general. It's obviously it's VR, so you're in it, but it does this weird thing I hadn't experienced in VR before. And for anyone who wants the context for that, I've played again Box VR. I've also played Walking Dead: Saints and Sinners, which is also a really good VR game. It's just that it's a lot more meaty. Like it's like, I think it's like a 10-15 hour campaign, whereas this is again like a 5-6 hour campaign. And so I am close to the end of it, which is why I'm able to talk about it pretty firmly here. But one of the weirdest things is that, like, for example, there's a scene where you have to be, you're in a room just chatting with your family, a few people that and I'm just sitting there. I'm like, kind of, oh shit, I punched my desk. And I did that in the game too. And I'm just sitting there, looking around, and I realized that like it's the most natural kind of conversation that I've felt in a video game, where I was like looking at someone who was talking, and then I look over this way, and this person's also like, like looking at someone else, and then they look at me, and I'm like, oh shit, like, and then there's also eye tracking. So like if if you do this, like the characters also look at you like wherever you are, so it feels like kind of more direct, and that stuff is like, I mean, really put me in the headspace more than any of the writing did, first of all. But then on top of that, it's designed to be like I was saying, a tech demo for what VR is capable of. And one of the things that I think is brilliant about the game's design is that they have essentially hidden. Okay, so for example, the vape I was telling you about, that's one of the hidden items you can get. And apart from just having another vape you can collect in your warehouse, like if you're safe house, you can literally go and look at all the vapes and other stuff you've collected. But along with that, every time you get a collectible of some sort, you get a star, and those stars are how you unlock like attachments for your weapons. So like that's part of the mechanic. But then also another way to get stars is around the map, like literally just randomly placed around the map in weird nooks and crannies are these bullseyes, and if you shoot those bullseyes, you also get a star. Both of those combined, I think, is absolutely genius, because it motivates you, gives you a reason to look around and kind of like really take in the scenery much more than any other kind of VR experience I've had. Oh, what else have I played? I've played Super Hot as well. I stopped fucking talking in the middle of the list I was giving. Rush of Blood, I also played that. The Until Dawn like roller coaster thing. So I've have a few VR experiences under my belt, but because of the way that this game is designed, I'm looking around it, I'm feeling more immersed in it, and like some of the bullseyes are really like, you'll miss them if you don't have your like gun ready, or you're not like fast enough or whatever. And yeah, all those combined, both those combined, I thought was just a really cool choice. But also just to explain the gameplay a little bit, because I realize I'm just talking this as if like it's a regular game, but for people who don't know. So you have two holsters by your side, left and right, and then on your chest is like what the reload thing, and then behind you have like on your shoulders you have two more holsters. So you can carry 4 weapons total, 2 small and 2 big, and they essentially, I mean, it's all really intuitive in terms of like when you put your controller by your hip, it kind of has a subtle vibration, and then you can press R2 to pick up the weapon, and then you're shooting.
Mhm.
The same thing with the stuff in the back. When you reach back behind your shoulder, you'll feel a small vibration. You can press R2, and then you have that weapon. It has let's see. Oh, the reload is you essentially tap your chest, like you grab the ammo from your chest by pulling your, again, you'll feel a vibration, I believe. Now I'm second guessing myself about the reload, but either way, you grab the ammo from your chest and you put it at the bottom of your weapon. It's not like super detailed where like you have to take out the magazine and then put it back in. Like, it's not that. You just put it in your magazine and then you have a new mag. You're shooting. There's a few kind of other gameplay quirks that you can have where, for example, if you have your controller and you press triangle and then like flick your controller, your character essentially like twirls the gun around like the finger, and then when you stop it, like it catches the gun. And then if you press I think square or one of the other face buttons, it gives you random like hand finger signals, one of which is a middle finger, so it's always nice. But yeah, it just kind of cycles through like rock on, all those kind of random kind of hand motions. So simple stuff. To continue down my list, though, along with vaping, there's a few other kind of gameplay introductions it has. There's a variety of mechanics, I'll say, that you use. You climb through vents. To climb through vents, you literally put you put R2 and then you drag and you're pulling yourself through the vent. There's obviously the gunplay, which I'll get to in a second as well. I guess I can get to now while we're here. So the gunplay, for them, like when you're just firing hip fire, it feels so sick, because I think one of the best things about playing this game is that it has these organic character moments that kind of only happen because of like it's in VR and you're able to do it. So what I mean by that is that like there was a moment earlier when I was playing yesterday where, by the way, this scene, the jumping out the window, that's if you're for the audio or video watchers, that scene made my jaw drop because I wasn't expecting it, because I was just like, oh shit, we're jumping out the window right now. Anyway, the shooting when you're shooting from the hip is fine, but there's no precision when you're like, I am having so much trouble like lining up a gun and like looking down like aiming down sights and shooting. It just doesn't feel good to me at all. Like, I have this gun that I just got yesterday where I was like some of the assault rifles, you can not just grab the what the hell is it called? The stock? No, the grip, I guess. You grab the grip, but then you can also grab the front rail as well for like stability. But as soon as I grab the front rail, it's like the gun becomes unwieldy for some reason. So that's
I think that's one of those really tricky things that a lot of VR like shooters have issues with, is that sort of like aim down sight kind of mechanic. Because I feel like that's an area that, it looks fine in a normal shooter, but there's probably a lot of fudging with like how that is framed in a normal game. And as soon as that becomes detached from like the static like aim down sight view and hip fire view, is where you start getting a lot of that weird disconnect.
And occasionally, like, I mean, the first few times I like smacked myself in the face when I was trying to light up a shot. I was like, I don't care, I'm just gonna hip fire, and it feels much more natural, just kind of like, like kind of like you can essentially, you have to feel out where like where it's going to be, look and aim, kind of like communicate that way. But it does get pretty good where you can actually like quick draw and fire and hit someone and feel pretty satisfied with it. But anyway, to the point I was making about yesterday, about the organic kind of character moments that I had, I was playing yesterday and I had someone threw a grenade at me, and I was like, oh fuck, it's a grenade. So I grabbed the grenade and I'm like, all right, let's throw this shit out. It turns out it hit a wall right in front of me and landed back. And I was like, I didn't like immediately in the heat of the moment, I was like, all right, whew, dodge that grenade. And then I was like, what's that beeping? Look down and I see the grenade still, so I pick it up again and I throw it. And like, as it's leaving, like, as it like leaves my hand, as it hitting like the opponents, like, or where the enemies are, it finally blows up. And I was like, oh, that's good. Like, that's Jackie Chan-esque timing of action that the game can't fully kind of choreograph. You just kind of have to give the player all those mechanics and then hope that stuff happens. But another thing, apart from the gunplay, that this game has is climbing. Like at parts, you turn into Nathan Drake in this game. So you have to like you're grabbing like scaffolding and then climbing through like up, and it feels like an upper body workout, because even though you're obviously not pulling your body weight, like there's segments where your arms are up just like climbing for a prolonged period of time. Like, god dang, I need to mix that up. And then also there's a reoccurring mechanic, which is the toolkit. And the toolkit has a few things that you can go through. One is the basic one is lock picking, and it's like pretty good. It's like Skyrim lock picking, but with two controllers. So it gives you a little bit like one hand is twisting it to try to get the pin right, and then the other hand clicks it up. So it actually feels a little bit more intuitive than just doing it on a controller, like like regular Skyrim or whatever. But then there's also like a screwdriver. So at times you're like, oh, you have to take apart this thing to get access to the innards of a box or power box. So you have to like take off the screws. Sometimes you do that, and then you have to cut a wire, and there's like snippers in your toolkit that you can then use to cut it. Or if you don't want to do that, you can just like sometimes you just have to blow it up, so you have a little like charge and a little cigarette lighter that you can do. And one of the and there's some weird interaction stuff too, because like at one point I'm cracking a safe, and during the part like I had the my toolkit open, I had a lighter. And in the safe, there was a cigar, and I was like, oh, shit. So I grabbed the cigar with one hand, picked up the lighter, held the cigar up to my face, and then held the lighter up, and the cigar started to burn. So, like, stuff like that is also pretty cool. Like, just, like, small touches that kind of bring the world to life, in a bit. But that being said, even though there are cool character moments that are not scripted, like I was describing, there are cool scripted moments as well. Moments that people shouldn't be surviving. Like, no human being is going to survive these moments, but like, it's VR, baby. The future is here. We can do whatever we want. And so, yeah, there's like some truly like, I don't want to necessarily say jaw dropping, but like, it's some like, oh man, this is like,
cool stuff to experience in VR.
Yeah, and I was like, I wish I was, I experienced this right when it came out, so I could, foolishly think, and in 5 years, imagine gaming. Where's VR gonna go from here? Nowhere, not very far, surprisingly. But it would have been cool to be a part of that moment. But yeah, overall though, dude, this game is feels great. It looks for the most part okay. Like there's some kind of didn't quite polish that area off as much, but the core areas where you're actually like the gameplay, the levels are actually taking place are super cool. And you have a variety of kind of different locations you travel to, so it's like it's not just you're not just looking at the same kind of suburb of London or some generic battlefield. Like you're getting a decent mix of stuff. And honestly, yeah, like I said, it's one of the best VR games that I've experienced, and I highly recommend, if you have the ability to play the PlayStation VR, to check out Blood and Truth, because it's a good one.
You kind of sold me on it. At some point, if I ever get VR, it does sound like a kind of game I would enjoy.
100%.
Taking itself serious, but has enough goof in there to make it fun.
And as an offshoot to this conversation, one of the things that I kept thinking about as I was playing was, man, if London Studio made a Mission Impossible game, I would be in heaven. I mean, there's some elements of the game, and you might have caught that from the trailer and stuff too, that like are like, oh shit, like high stakes, we got to get there, this has to happen, you got to you got to jump now, like these kind of like high intensity things. I would have like, oh man, I can close my eyes and I can picture the VR headset on my face that has like a Halo jump sequence that then goes into like a little stealth sequence, and then I don't know. There's so much you can do with that. Mission Impossible or James Bond, but like something in that, because again, now that I said it, London studio, probably James Bond, the Oi governor over there, probably like that kind of stuff. So either way, man, I hope they would have done something. Obviously that's not going to happen now, but yeah.